You recently sent a letter to Omar requesting all communications related to people tied to the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. That letter really circulating over the last week or so on social media. That scheme, by the way, stole over $250 million. Now, first, have you heard from Congresswoman Ilhan Omar? And what are your next steps if she doesn't comply? I believe that deadline was set by May 5th.
Yes. We have not heard from her. We also had invited her to testify the previous week when we were talking about the Feeding Our Future scandal, which is where many of her staff members were listed in the trial court exhibits. So they weren't ever charged, but yet their email communication with people involved in the trial were listed. So we wanted to better understand what her relationship was and her staff's relationship were to the Feeding Our Future fraudsters. And she had put in place the conditions that enabled that scam by taking all the guardrails off the federal school nutrition program in a bill she sponsored called the Meals Act. So I think there's plenty of questions. She claims, she's a federal representative. She doesn't have to come to the state legislature. But the bill she passed at the federal level exactly created the conditions of fraud that our state taxpayers are still reeling from. So she does, I think, need to come and explain herself to Minnesotans. And I hope we hear from her by Tuesday, but I don't have a lot of optimism, unfortunately.
And Congresswoman Ilhan Omar defended the Meals Act. I believe it was right around the end of 2025, December of 2025, saying that it did feed some kids, right? So she went back on the defense after, some of this information came to light.
Right. And perhaps some kids were fed, but there was way more, billions of dollars. Well, in this program, $250 million in just Feeding Our Future. But there were two other Feeding Our Future like site sponsors. One was called Partners in Nutrition. One was called Youth Leadership Academy. And they were similarly large scale. One was 23 million, the other was 250 million, and those never got prosecuted. A.G. Ellison allowed them to dissolve without any charges being filed. And so I think there's a lot more money at stake and a lot more answers we need to get.